Teacher Kaligo Dotto Njige channel has brought you the novel Analysis, which is written by Tanzanian author known as Severine Ndunguru. A Less for Father MAYER is a novel written in the year of 1977 in Tanzania, mainland. The novel is divided into 3 phases, which are further divided into 14 chapters. The division of the book into 3 phases is intended to show the major areas of the story. The first phase is set in Tanzania, covering chapters 1 to 5. The second phase is set in Europe, particularly Britain and Germany, which covers chapter 6 to 9. The third phase is set again in Tanzania, mainly at Mkongo village, which is located at Songea district in Vuma region, covering chapters 10 to 14 chapters. Hello Tanzania, especially teachers who teach English language and students who start English language subject, especially student Form 3 and Form 4. Let us applaud our author from Tanzania. This novel speaks about cholera, epidemic disease, which erupts at Mkongo village and attempt to find a solution towards this dreadful disease. This disease erupts due to the lack of clean and safe water within the village, which is located at Songea district in Vuma. And some people involve themselves in conflict due to ignorance and poor belief that they bewitched each other, while the real cause is cholera epidemic disease. This novel also speaks about poverty at Mkongo village. The novelist shows Father Moyo, who is a parish priest of Mkongo Catholic Mission Station, trying to solve the problem of cholera epidemic disease by telling the villagers to find themselves the empty kerosene tins and dispute themselves. He insists by telling the villagers that they have to use these empty kerosene tins for keeping safe boiled drinking water. He continues telling the villagers to wash their hands with soaps before eating any kind of food. But the problem is that many people who live at Mkongo village are very poor, hence they can't afford even to buy soaps and the empty kerosene tins. This situation makes Father Moyo to enter into personal conflict on how he should do in order to make his people safe. Also the novelist speaks about conflict which occur in the society due to poor belief. This evidence is the novel opens with a special Sunday prayer when Father Moyo is inside the church with other worshippers full of grief, speaking about epidemic disease. Father Moyo is counting not less than 20 of his parishioners dead and buried in the recent past. The cholera epidemic had left behind a number of widows and orphans. This calamity has brought tense and great conflict in the society. For instance, the conflict between Father Moyo and the young man, Odofo Theodore. This conflict emerges when Father Moyo is in the church proceeding with the Missa. Then the young man, Odofo Theodore, comes and complains about his son's illness. He was accusing his grandmother as a witch, so he followed her in a church where she was praying. Father Moyo, as a priest, is trying to exculpate Adolfo's grandmother not to be beaten by her grandson, Odofo. This act annoys Adolfo and starts changing words with Father Moyo. The child was not bewitched but suffering from diarrhea and vomiting, but the people always believe in superstitious belief. Father Moyo's journey to Europe. As Father Moyo tried to find permanent solution to the villagers against cholera epidemic disease, He decides to go to find Bishop Makita and tell him about his mission to Europe looking for assistance from their benefactor. As the author narrates the conversation which is going on between Father Moyo and Bishop Makita. At first, Bishop Makita is very difficult to agree with Father Moyo's yarn, but after a long time, his convinced Bishop Makita agreed to allow Father Moyo to go in Europe. Therefore, after a few weeks, Father Dan Moyo started his journey from Dar es Salaam to Europe, particularly Britain and Germany. At the airport, while Father Moyo is at the airport, he met a group of pilgrims who are traveling to Mecca for pilgrimage. In the group, there is somebody who is not new to him. So he approached the man. He sought he know and greeted him. He also introduced their conversation. Bonawal immediately broke off his conversation with Father Moyo and rejoined his fellow pilgrims. Father Moyo also stood up and collected his handbag. Father Moyo got on board to Europe. His mission is successful down first in Birmingham and then in Munich. In the plane to Europe, Father Moyo got a friend who introduced himself as James O'Brien. This was a British young man who dealt with drugs and hashish. This young man came from Calabrian gang, which deal with drugs all over the world, including China, Malaya, India, Mexico, and Tanzania, where they grow opium, marijuana, and other drugs. The Calabrian organization has a huge network in transportation of drugs, example in the sea, roads, and the air. James O'Brien succeeded to export his hashish by hiding a hashish packet in the green label written Tanzania tea into Father Moyo's bag. Father Moyo did not know about the drug with him until his bag is caught at Charles de Gaulle Airport. After short investigation, with Paul's father has seen innocent and realized any betraying. Father Moyo was captured by drug dealers from Calabrian gang. They have beaten him severely to an extent that he lost consciousness. Father Moyo found himself in the gang's house. He met Dr. Bennett, a scientist and medical doctor in the Caribbean organization. Dr. Bennett had joined the Caribbean organization 10 years past. He, in fact, the brain behind the organization. He helped Father Moyo to escape from the gang's hand. Dr. Bennett says to Father Moyo, before Father Moyo had left them, he met Dr. Bennett. He is severe at Basel, Switzerland. In the entire allegation, Father Moyo is trying to convince Dr. Bennett by any means to go Africa, particularly in Tanzania. At the end, Dr. Bennett agreed to promise to work in one of the mission hospitals or dispensaries at Mkongo, as it is shown in their conversation. In Germany, the Benedictine monastery at St. Otrien, where most of the white missionaries in Songea diocese had come from, and the place where Father Vitas Mayer is buried. One morning, as Father Moyo was passing through a small village on his way to neighboring town, Father Moyo noticed some level flower displayed outside the window. He was informed that was a small time florist shop. He stopped at the shop and asked the florist to prepare a lace for coronation and roses for him. This is to be a lace for Father Vitas Mayer. This is a symbol of honor and respect for Father Vitas Mayer. Back to Mkongo village, Songea, due to cholera epidemic disease, hence laser theft and murder. On 9 September, Papadendre gang invited Blaza Nyoka and they took a cartoon of medicine. The notable event in this cause is the murder of Father Moyo's house servant who called Callistus. The man was murdered on the way trying to save the stolen medicine. He is killed by one of the Pandalers gang, Mohammed said. We get this evidence of killing from the confession of Christopher Mittel. The gang, including Papandreas himself as a gang boss, Asman Abdallah alias Msumali, Barnabas Kapinga, known as Mandondo, and Muhammad Said. This gang involved in different thefts in Songea. So he could pick people's pocket at the market and at the bar station, blocking people's home, office, rob people during night time, and take away vehicle, and sometimes they could rob banks. Also, we are told about the responsibility of police inspector known as Mpangala. We are told that when police given information, they probably needed a quick measure, they could not come on time. Furthermore, claim about the police. In the process of exploring information about the murderers, one villager called Musa, who is said to have detected the death of Callistus, was taken by police at a hidden place. Musa was tortured and highly humiliated by the police, who forced him to mention names of the murderers. Musa saw them from afar, what they were doing, but he could not notice them because the murderers were strange and had masked their faces. The investigation was therefore in vain because no arrest was made. Furthermore, arrived at Songea from Europe. People are happy to see him back. He called Brother Nyoka and asked him if he know the person called Miteo. This is a name proclaimed by Father More's dream. At 8 hours on the appointed day, the little courtroom of Songea, in which the Chengu traditional court of Ungon is to be held, is filled to capacity. The case of indeed was strange one, since it was not known as who was going to be the defendant. As the case goes on, Inspector Mpangara insists that Musa is the one among the killer, so he should speak to the truth of the murderers, seeing that what the police inspector did was none. Since the angry mob began to advance toward Inspector Mpangara and his assistant. Proceeding with his safety case, Father Aloysius Kafupi, Father Dennis Moore, and Brother Nyoka hold a conference in the sitting room. Kafupi suggests that the case should be explained to Mr. Patrick Melinga, the regional police commander, RPC. This is because Mr. Melinga is the responsible intelligence and an honest man compared to Inspector Mpangala, who is the responsible man. Now the case is presented to Mr. Melinga, and furthermore told the police commander everything that is needed in the case, including the suspect of the case. Furthermore says, after listening for the explanation given by Furthermore, Mr. Melinga promised to take measure on this case without any delay. It took almost 2 hours in that night when the all suspects all arrested. Father Christian met Paul at age 12, the last born, a son of Bwana Pima, the medicine man, who has 5 wives. Paul, mother's is Rosina, the youngest and the most loved wife of Bwana Pima. Rosina is the daughter of the late Julius Ndunguru Miteo and the sister of suspect Christopher Miteo. Paul tells the whole situation at home and why sometimes his mother does not cook for him when he returns from school. This information from Paul helps the investigation of this case. After arresting all the suspects, Mr. Melinga phoned Father Kafupi to tell him about the matter concerned Rosina. Every suspect was interrogated by 2 policemen, but the most interesting and most important of all in such statement is that made by Christopher Miteo, who declared being involved in the stealing at the priest's house. He mentioned names of all who participated: Asman Abdallah, alias as Msumari, Barnabas Kipingo, and Muhammad Said, who killed Callistus. Judgment. Now we see the judgment. Justice Madwanga of Tanzania High Court tried the case. The prosecution was made by Mr. Melinga, RPC from Ruvuma region. 15 years jail for consent. Kaguru, 15 years jail for Omar Mtepa or Bwana Pima for hiding seats. Yomba Yomba got 6 months for giving false information to the police. Christopher Miteo, Asman Abdallah, Msumari, and Barnabas, Kipingu, Madondo were each sentenced to 15 years, like their boss Constantine. Having been sentenced, the accused all allowed to appeal within 14 days. Only Constantine Kagulu and Omar Bonapima appealed. Unfortunately, they were enhanced the sentence of 12 years each. Going around of the end paper, we are introduced the sugar crisis in Songea. This is revealed by Buanal, who sells sugar in black market and uses behind door to import them from Arabian countries, which used to go as one of pilgrimage Muslim. This is a hypocrite Muslim. At the end, we exposed the arrival of Dr. Bennett at Songea Airport at 11 hours. We was welcome with joy at the bishop's house. A simple discussion was made about where Dr. Bennett shall be posted. Dr. Bennett selected to work at Mkongo to Pelami Hall. The following are the characters found in this novel: Elias for Father Mayer, Sister Gaudiosa, Father Mayer Mpangala, Paul, Papandreou Gang, Bwana Pima, Rosina, Bwanad, James O'Brien and the Calabian, Callistus, Father Densmore, Adolfo Theodose. The themes found in this novel: number 1, cholera epidemic disease; number 2, torture and the human rights violation; number 3, irresponsibility of police; number 4, poverty of Mkongo villagers; number 5, theft and the gang; number 6, drug abuse. Let us look at the conflict as revealed. Personal conflict. Example: Father Moore is thinking much on how help the villagers from the calamity. There also is a conflict between Adolfo Theos and Father Moore. Went to the church and made a quarrel with her grandmother, accusing her to bewitch his son, who was sick at the moment. Also, there's a conflict between Inspector Mpangala and the angry mob. When Inspector Mpangala insists the priest of Mkongo also is responsible for the murder of Callistus, but all the present claim are neglected before the Chengo. Also, the conflict between government and Papandreou's gang. This conflict emerged. Papandreou's gang involved in theft of Tithasius cartoon and the murder of Callistus, who is Father Moyle's house servant. All suspects arrested and sentenced 15 years jail. Let us look at the position and role of women. Position of women is the social status of women within the society, in accordance with traditional attitude dictated by the culture of the society. The role of women are cultural obligation and responsibility of the female members of any society. Women as sympathetic person. Show Sister Gaudiosa feels sympathetic with Callistus does. Women as faithful person. In this novel, the writer shows Sister Gaudiosa handled the remaining cartoon. Women as weak person and coward. In this novel, the writer shows Rosina, Buanapima's youngest and lovely wife, screaming like a child and showing the investigators the place where the shell Tectran had buried after then men twisting her arm. Women as a tool for enjoyment. In this novel, the writer shows that Buanapima has 5 wives who use them as tool for enjoyment as his sexual desire. Let us look at the mess found in this novel. Alas for Father Mayer. Fifth, and again hindering development in a certain community. Government should alert poverty from region level because they become a source of eruption. The policy officer should respect human rights. Drug dealers exist in our country, but the government is quarrel on them. Let us look at the title of this novel. The title used in this novel implies the reader to know what inside the book. The novelist has succeeded to show why he has named the book Elias for Father Mayer. The title is structured after Father Moyle visits a European country. One morning when he is passing through a small village on his way, a neighboring village in Germany, at the Benedictine monastery of Saint Otrien, where most of the white missionaries in Songea diocese had come from, and the place where Father Vita's MAYER is buried. Father Moyo noted some lovely flowers and asking the florist to prepare a lace for coronation to roses from him. This is to be a lace for Father MAYER. The title of the book, he replaced them on the grave of Father MAYER, a symbol of respect and honor for him. Let us look at the setting. This novel is set in Tanzania and other some part of Europe. The main and important provinces in Tanzania, including Congo, a small village in Songea district in Ruvuma region, Sub-Catholic Mission Station, Pelamiho, the main Catholic mission station where Bishop Makita works, in Dar es Salaam International Airport. In Europe, there are two important provinces, Migam, the fun city in London, and the German, the Benedictine monastery of St. Etienne, the place where Father MAYER, the founder of the church at Mkongo, was buried. The novel's flashback narration is even expressed to note and narrated chronological. First, we are introduced about cholera epidemic disease at Mkongo village. Then Father Moyo is in Dar es Salaam airport, and then in Britain, and then in plane where James Opiate hidden hashish in Father's bag. After that, we are to introduce the conversation between Father Moyo and the Bishop Makita, which occurred before Father Moyo's journey to Europe. Let us look at the relevance of this novel. The novel is still relevant in our country because people are still suffered with cholera disease. The issue of thief and the gang still a challenge. That is the end of novel arises. My name is teacher Kaligo Dotto Njige, or teacher Kadonji, the man of literature in the young African writer. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment below this video. Thank you.